October 24, 1944, Sibuyan Sea. The heat wraps around you like wet cloth. Your shirt sticks to your back. The deck vibrates under your boots, a deep metallic pulse that travels up your legs and into your chest. Somewhere below, engines strain, churning the water into white scars that stretch behind the ship. The air smells of fuel, oil, and salt and something sharper, ozone, maybe, or fear. You hear it before you see it, a rising, swelling roar that doesn't belong to the sea. You look up. The sky is moving. At first it's only dots, then wings, then shadows racing across steel decks. Someone screams an order. Another voice shouts a warning that comes too late. The first bomb falls and the world slams sideways. Metal shrieks. Fire punches upward. Men are thrown, not pushed, through the air like loose tools. This is not an ambush. This is not confusion. This is the sound of a war arriving in its final form. This is where the myth is about to die. For half a century, the world's navies were built on a single belief. That control of the sea belonged to the biggest guns on the thickest hulls, crewed by disciplined men who would hold their ground no matter the cost. Battleships were not just weapons. They were doctrine made steel. Nations built their pride, their budgets, and their futures around them. Japan more than most. The Imperial Japanese Navy was born in the shadow of battleship victory, and raised to believe that history itself would bend one last time to decisive surface combat. Leyte Gulf is where that belief comes to be dismantled, piece by piece, ship by ship, life by life. In Tokyo, the plan looks clean, almost elegant. Sho-Go 1. Victory Operation. American forces have landed on Leyte in the Philippines. The invasion fleet is enormous, sprawling, confident. To the Japanese high command, this is not just another amphibious assault. It is the throat of the empire. Lose the Philippines and Japan is cut off from the oil, rubber, and raw materials of Southeast Asia. The war becomes arithmetic, and Japan loses that math every time. So everything that remains is committed. The plan accepts losses before they happen. It assumes ships will die, men will die. What matters is that the enemy is forced into the decisive battle Japan has been preparing for since the first steel plates were laid on battleship hulls decades earlier. Lure the American carriers north with a decoy force. Punch through the central Philippines with the remaining battleships and cruisers. Fall upon the invasion fleet at Leyte. Destroy the transports. Shatter the beachhead. Force the American to reconsider the entire Pacific advance. It is desperate. It is logical. And it is built on assumptions that no longer hold. Vice Admiral Takeo Kurita commands the center force, the striking fist of the plan. On paper, it is still terrifying. 5 battleships including Yamato and Musashi, 10 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, 15 destroyers. It is the last concentrated surface power Japan will ever assemble. Kurita knows what is being asked of him. He also knows how thin the margin has become. Fuel is limited. Air cover is unreliable. Training pipelines are emptying. Every loss now is permanent. On October 23rd, the first loss comes without warning. The Palawan Passage is narrow, calm, deceptive. Kurita's ships move in column, confident, orderly. Below the surface, 2 American submarines, Darter and Dace, are already in position. They have been patient. They have been quiet. When the torpedoes run, they do not miss. Explosions tear into the heavy cruisers Atago and Maya. Fire blooms instantly. Steel bends. Water rushes where compartments used to be. Atago, Kurita's flagship, lists violently. Men scramble, orders collide. Within hours she is gone, dragging hundreds of sailors down with her. Kurita survives by chance, pulled from oil-black water, his uniform soaked, his face burned. His command continues, but something essential has already been stripped away. The center force has announced itself to the enemy, and the enemy is listening. The next day in the Sibuyan Sea, the listening turns into an answer. American carrier aircraft come in waves so constant they blur together. Dive bombers scream downward, engines throttled back, pilots staring straight into flak bursts that look like solid walls. Torpedo planes skim the water, slow and vulnerable, flying straight at battleships that unleash everything they have. Fighters strafe decks, raking exposed crews. The battleship Musashi becomes the center of gravity, absorbing punishment meant for the entire fleet. She is built to survive this. That is the point of her existence. Her armor shrugs off hits that would annihilate lesser ships. Damage control teams fight flooding, fires, ruptured fuel lines. She keeps moving. She keeps firing. And still the attacks do not stop. By mid-afternoon, Musashi has taken more than a dozen torpedo hits and countless bombs. Her speed drops. Her list increases. Orders come slower now, filtered through smoke and noise and exhaustion. When she finally rolls over and sinks, the sea closes over one of the most powerful warships ever built. Over 1,000 men disappear with her. Kurita turns back. For a moment, just a moment, it looks like the center force is finished. But Sho-Go does not allow retreat. That night, Kurita reverses course again and heads east. He will pass through the San Bernardino Strait under cover of darkness. He will do what remains possible. The plan demands it. To the north, the decoy force is doing its job. Admiral Jisaburo Ozawa sails with carriers that are carriers in name only. Aircraft are few, pilots are fewer. What he has is radar signatures, flight decks, and the willingness to sacrifice them all. When American reconnaissance spots him, the reaction is immediate. This must be the main Japanese force. The carriers are the prize. Admiral William Halsey commits the U.S. Third Fleet north at full speed. The bait is taken perfectly. Before dawn on October 25th, Kurita's ships emerge from the San Bernardino Strait and steam south. No American battleships block the way. No carrier strike force waits. Ahead lies only the thin screen of escort carriers and destroyers protecting the invasion beaches. For the first time in the entire operation, the Japanese plan aligns with reality. Then the sun rises. Off the coast of Samar, American sailors see shapes on the horizon they do not expect to see: pagoda masts, towering superstructures, gun flashes the size of buildings. These are not cruisers. These are battleships. The realization spreads faster than any order. Taffy 3, 6 escort carriers, 3 destroyers, 4 destroyer escorts, is about to face the core of the Imperial Japanese Navy alone. The first salvos land among them with apocalyptic violence. Shells weighing thousands of pounds crash into the sea, throwing columns of water higher than masts. One hit tears through an escort carrier, ripping it open like thin sheet metal. Fires start instantly. Planes burn on deck. Men run, slip, fall, keep running. By every rule of the old war, this should be over. It is. American destroyers do not wait to be annihilated. They turn toward the enemy and accelerate. They lay smoke so thick it turns morning into night. They charge into gunfire that brackets them perfectly. Torpedoes are launched at impossible ranges. Ships are hit, keep moving, are hit again. The destroyer Johnston is shredded, her speed gone, her guns still firing. The whole charges until she is simply erased. The Samuel B. Roberts fights with such ferocity that Japanese observers believe they are facing cruisers. Above them, escort carriers keep launching aircraft, fighters armed with machine guns, bombers dropping depth charges, anything that might confuse, delay, or frighten. Pilots attack again and again, dying one by one but filling the sky with the illusion of overwhelming force. Kurita stands on his bridge, surrounded by smoke and reports that contradict each other. Enemy carriers, enemy battleships, torpedo hits, losses mounting. His cruisers are burning, destroyers are gone. Air attacks never stop. He cannot see the invasion fleet. He cannot see the strategic picture anymore, only fragments. The center force has the firepower to continue. It does not have the system to sustain it. Kurita orders withdrawal. The moment passes, the chance is gone. To the south in Surigao Strait, another Japanese force steams into history's last battleship-on-battleship engagement. American battleships, many raised from the mud of Pearl Harbor, wait in formation. Radar-guided fire turns night into day. Japanese ships explode, burn, sink. It is decisive. It is methodical. It is an execution, not a contest. By the end of October 25th, the Imperial Japanese Navy is shattered beyond recovery. 4 carriers destroyed, 3 battleships sunk, 10 cruisers gone, destroyers erased, thousands of trained sailors and aviators lost, men who cannot be replaced, skills that cannot be rebuilt. And something else begins. Planes take off with no expectation of return. Pilots aim not for victory but for impact. Kamikaze attacks strike American ships with horrifying effect. Fire, screams, twisted metal. It is not a tactic of confidence. It is the final expression of a system that no longer has the resources to fight in any other way. Leyte Gulf is not just the largest naval battle in history. It is the moment when the old logic of war collapses completely. Courage does not fail here, but it is no longer enough. Sacrifice does not disappear, but it cannot compensate for broken logistics. Battleships do not become useless, but they are no longer decisive. After Leyte, war belongs to those who can coordinate air, sea, production, and supply into a single, relentless machine. Japan can still resist. It can still inflict pain, but it can no longer choose the shape of the war. This was not simply Japan's last stand. It was the death of an age. And once an age dies, no amount of bravery can bring it back.